I stood just outside the dining room doorway, clutching a takeout box like it was a shield. The scent of roasted chicken and garlic mashed potatoes hit me before I even stepped closer. My family laughed inside, glasses clinking, knives scraping plates, a symphony of indulgence I wasn't invited to join. "Here, Sophia," my mother said, sliding the box toward me with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We saved you something." I felt the weight of it, not the food, not the box, but the unspoken message. You're still the outsider. I let a small smile slip, brushing my fingers over the smooth cardboard, imagining it contained more than leftovers. It contained irony, maybe even a little poetic justice. The sunlight from the bay window caught the gold of my watch, warming my skin. My phone buzzed in my purse, and I ignored it for a heartbeat, letting the moment stretch. I was Sophia Bennett now, successful, polished, composed, but no one here knew the half of it. They didn't know the small victories, the late nights, the battles fought quietly while they feasted. As I took a slow, steady breath, I felt it, the sudden sting of memory, a whisper from the past. Something had arrived this morning, something that could turn the table in a way they'd never see coming. I shifted the takeout box in my hands, savoring its weight, and whispered under my breath, "Let's see who really has the last course tonight." I remember the first time I truly felt invisible to them. I was 18, clutching my worn leather backpack, standing in the hallway of our old family home. My younger brother, Jason, was sprawled on the couch, phone in hand, while Mom and Dad hovered over a pile of paperwork, laughing about some vacation I wasn't invited to. "Sophia, you're overreacting," Mom said, her tone sharp, dismissive. "We're just trying to help you get back on track. Don't make this harder than it has to be." Her words stung, but it wasn't the sting that cut me. It was the dismissal. The way they brushed past my ambitions, my late-night projects, my quiet dreams, as if none of it mattered. My chest tightened, and my hands shook so badly I had to grip my backpack straps like a lifeline. I felt small, ridiculous, unheard. Grandma June, God bless her, had sensed it long before I did. That afternoon, she found me on the back porch, rocking gently in the old wooden swing. Her fingers brushed a strand of hair from my face, her eyes soft but serious. "You have fire in you, Sophia," she said, pressing a small, silver locket into my hand. "Keep this close. They might not see your worth, but don't let that stop you. One day, they'll see it themselves, or maybe you'll just show them." Her words were a spark in the dark. I held the locket against my chest and felt something shift inside me. No more waiting for their approval. No more standing in their shadows. That day, I decided to walk away from the life they imagined for me and start building my own. I left that house carrying nothing but my bag, my dreams, and Grandma June's locket, a tiny emblem of faith in myself when no one else would. The sting of their disbelief became fuel. Each step away from that hallway was a step toward a life they never thought I could have. And in that moment, I promised myself, one day, they'd realize exactly what they'd handed away. I moved to Chicago with nothing but a suitcase, Grandma June's locket against my chest, and a burning determination that refused to be silenced. The city was enormous, loud, and relentless, a perfect match for the way I felt inside. I rented a tiny studio apartment where the radiator clanged at night and the pipes rattled like they were mocking my ambition. My first job was as an assistant at a boutique marketing firm. The pay was meager, the hours brutal, but it was a start. I learned to pour coffee and schedule meetings while keeping my mind sharp, absorbing every bit of knowledge like a sponge. I met someone who would change everything, a mentor named Claire Reynolds. Claire was in her late 40s, fierce and brilliant, and she saw potential in me before I saw it in myself. "Sophia, stop apologizing for being ambitious," she said one evening as we reviewed a presentation. "You're not too much. You're exactly what this industry needs." Her words became my mantra. I worked nights teaching myself digital strategy, honing my pitch, rewriting campaigns that were failing. There were days I wanted to quit, nights I cried into my pillow, wondering if I'd ever prove myself. But then I'd glance at Grandma June's locket and remember, I was building something no one could take away, not even my family. Small victories came first. Landing my first client, a boutique jewelry brand, felt like winning a battle I didn't even know I was fighting. Then another, each success stacking quietly behind closed doors. I celebrated silently, posting vague updates on social media that hinted at progress, but never gave the full story. I didn't need them watching me rise. 5 years in, I owned my own digital marketing consultancy, a small but profitable company that had grown faster than I ever expected. My team trusted me, my clients admired me, and for the first time, I felt the kind of pride that wasn't tied to anyone else's approval. I had hidden my success from my family, not out of spite, but because I wanted it to be mine, not a reflection of their recognition. Each contract, each client meeting, each late night in my apartment, those were the bricks I laid for the life I deserved. And soon, the weight of that hidden success would become a force they couldn't ignore. I arrived at my parents' suburban house that Saturday evening, dressed in a tailored navy suit that whispered power without shouting it. In my hand, a sleek leather folder contained everything they weren't supposed to see, proof of what I had built, quietly, deliberately, while they feasted without me. They greeted me at the door with the same smirks and polite warmth they had perfected over decades. "Sophia, you came," Mom said, leading me into the dining room. The table groaned. Under roasted meats, creamy potatoes, buttery rolls, the feast they'd thought would mark my exclusion. "Of course," I said, keeping my voice calm, smooth, but with a subtle edge. I wouldn't miss it. I set the folder on the polished mahogany table and let my eyes wander over the familiar scene. Dad carving turkey with precise authority, Jason scrolling on his phone, Mom sipping wine like nothing had ever changed. They assumed they had the upper hand. I let them sit in that illusion a little longer. Then I opened the folder. First, a bank statement, 6-figure figures in business accounts. Next, contracts signed by major clients. Finally, an official notice of ownership for my own digital marketing company, complete with trademarks and patents. I let the silence settle over them like a winter fog. Eyes widened. Forks froze midair. Wine sloshed in Mom's glass. Dad's jaw tightened. Jason looked from his phone to me, confusion and shock warring on his face. "I thought you might like to see what's been happening while I've been out of reach," I said, my voice calm, conversational, almost gentle, but every word carried the weight of years of overlooked ambition. "That company I started 5 years ago? It's doing very well. And yes, I did all of this on my own." Mom's hand shook slightly as she reached for her wine glass. "Sophia, we had no idea." "No," I interrupted softly. "You didn't. You assumed I was struggling, that I'd come crawling back one day. But I didn't need you. And the takeout boxes? The pity dinners? I kept them all in mind." I let a pause hang, savoring the moment, my eyes meeting each of theirs. "Because today, you're about to experience the full course." I slid one last item from the folder, an envelope. "This," I said, placing it in the center of the table, "is the eviction notice for this house. Paid in full, of course." I thought you'd appreciate the irony. Shock rippled through the room. Dad's face turned pale. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Jason's jaw dropped, the phone slipping from his hand. The table, once a symbol of their indulgence, had become a stage for revelation. My revelation. I stood tall, letting the weight of my presence fill the room. No yelling, no drama, just the quiet, undeniable truth. I had risen while they stayed blind, and now they were finally seeing me, not as the girl they dismissed, but as the woman who had quietly become unstoppable. The room was silent, the echoes of my revelation still lingering like smoke. I let it settle before speaking again, carefully, deliberately. "I've shown you what I can do on my own. Now, if we're going to move forward, there are conditions." Dad straightened in his chair, eyes narrowed, as if ready to argue. Mom clutched her napkin, trembling slightly, and Jason looked like he had just realized the world wasn't going to hand him what he wanted. I let them feel the gravity of the moment. First, I began respect. No more dismissing my achievements, no more assumptions about my choices. You will treat me as the adult I am, not the child you thought you could control. Dad's throat tightened. Sophia, he started, but I held up a hand. Second, I continued, softer but firm. Any future support I offer will come with accountability. That means if you want help, you must show effort, responsibility, and a willingness to grow. No more relying on others to fix what you refuse to change yourselves. Mom's lips pressed together. I understand, she whispered, voice shaking. Third, I said, locking eyes with Jason, you will respect boundaries. That house, the finances, the decisions I make, they are mine now, not playgrounds for entitlement. And if you want to be part of my life, you will learn to stand on your own 2 feet, not expect a handout. I reached into my bag and pulled out Grandma June's silver locket, holding it up. This is the reason I am standing here today. A little guidance, faith, and the belief that I could succeed, even when no one else believed in me. I want you to understand that support doesn't mean control. If you want a relationship with me, it comes on these terms. Their faces reflected a mixture of guilt, shame, and awe. They realized, finally, that the old power dynamics were gone. The table that once symbolized their dominance was now a place where I dictated the rules. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear, compassionate, and firm. I ended the conversation with one final statement. I care about each of you, but my life, my achievements, and my peace are not negotiable. Learn, grow, and prove you can meet me here, or the doors will remain closed. The choice is yours. For the first time, I saw something shift in them, a spark of recognition that I had changed, that I was no longer the girl they underestimated. And I felt a quiet satisfaction. I wasn't punishing them. I was giving them a chance to rise, to respect themselves as I had learned to respect myself. Weeks passed after that night. Slowly, I watched changes ripple through my family. Dad started volunteering at a local charity, something he'd always dismissed as unnecessary. Mom began a small art business she'd dreamed of for years, sending me pictures of her first completed paintings. Jason, to my quiet amusement, got a part-time job at a tech startup and even asked for advice on budgeting. I smiled at each development, not from a place of superiority, but from the deep satisfaction of seeing them step into their own lives. The takeout boxes, the dismissals, the laughter that once excluded me, they were now part of a memory I no longer carried with bitterness. Instead, they were markers of how far I had come. One evening, I sat in my office, the city lights spilling through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the silver locket from Grandma June resting against my chest. I turned it over in my fingers, remembering her words. Keep this close. They might not see your worth, but don't let that stop you. I realized then that the real triumph wasn't in the eviction notice, the bank statements, or even my business success. The real victory was reclaiming my dignity, my independence, and my ability to love without compromising my self-respect. I posted a small update online that night, not to flaunt, not to prove, but to celebrate quietly. A photo of my office, a view of the skyline, and a caption that simply read, "Progress, patience, and purpose." I knew my family would see it eventually, and that was enough. The locket glinted in the lamplight, a reminder that the path wasn't about revenge. It was about becoming the woman I was always meant to be. I leaned back in my chair, closing my eyes, and allowed a soft smile to form. For years, I had been the girl handed a takeout box while others feasted. But now, I had learned to set the table for myself, to savor my own victories, and to serve justice in the quietest, most powerful way imaginable. I whispered to myself, almost as a vow, I will never settle for crumbs again. And with that, I knew the main course had finally been served, by me, for me, and no one could take it away.